this is why I stopped smoking weed and why you need to as well. So I used to be a stoner in high school. Every day at night, I would smoke weed because I had no goals. I had no goals whatsoever. I would just go through the motions. I was on the basketball team, and a lot of my friends would smoke weed. Like all my friends would smoke weed as well. But sometimes before school, I would smoke too, but not as often, but definitely every night. And when I would get back from school, that was my favorite thing to do. And that's because it literally makes you produce so much dopamine, or activates so much dopamine, and it makes you feel so good, especially when you're not supposed to feel good. So this is the last thing that you should be doing if you are trying to be productive, trying to have good testosterone levels and vitality, because it literally makes you feel lazy and makes you feel good when you're not feeling good. And why is that bad? Because when you're not feeling good, there is a reason for that. There is a reason that you feel shitty, that you're unsatisfied, that you're unmotivated, and that you are just pissed off, because that is what's going to cause you to work harder and get out of the situation that you're in. If you're upset and you're bored, that's literally God telling you you need to work your ass off and make a change and work towards something that's going to improve your life overall. And before I realized that, I was just stuck for years, like 2 years, just smoking weed every day, hanging out with the same friends, killing my test, increasing the amount of gray matter in my brain. And it's literally just such a pointless hobby. You just sit there and smoke weed and you just feel pleasure. Like you just feel good. Like, oh, it feels so nice right now. Like, bro, you could be in a fucking jail cell in a white room like this for hours, high off weed, and have a great time. There's a reason why it's boring and you don't want to do it, because you're not fulfilling your destiny. You're not working towards something. That also goes hand in hand with testosterone, because that is what makes effort feel good and gives you that drive to want to achieve things, want to conquer new lands, want to attack and achieve your goals. But when your testosterone's low from something like weed, you're complacent, you're happy, you don't even want to. You're like, oh, my video games, my Netflix, my weed, that's all I need. I can work a mediocre job and do mediocre things, and you'll be fine with that. So that's also why you're being stuck. That's why you're stuck in the same place, because you smoke weed every day and you're just not motivated, and you find excuses to not try to be something great or do anything, or work harder at your job, work harder at the gym. And I'm gonna relate this specifically to fitness, because we could talk about how weed destroys everything, but fitness wise, you don't care how you look. All the stoners are little skinny soy boys, and there's fitness influencers and celebrities that are on test or TRT who smoke weed. But I'd say on average, someone who smokes weed every day is going to look like a scrawny soy boy, is going to have low testosterone and be an average Joe. They look skinny, they have the drug rug, the beanie. That is not the person that is going to lead anybody or do anything great on average. So for fitness, definitely if you're lazy, you're not gonna wanna cook a meal. You're gonna wanna order some fucking Chipotle, some fucking Five Guys. You're not gonna wanna cook ground beef and rice. You're not gonna wanna track your macros, track your micros. You're not gonna wanna go to the gym and lift weights, because it's hard. It's definitely stressing on your body, and it takes energy, it takes effort, it takes discipline, it takes consistency. And that's literally what is going to take all of that away from you. So, if you are addicted to weed, even though they say it's not addicting, it spikes your dopamine so much that anything that really activates dopamine is addictive, theoretically. So, the best way is just to go cold turkey and write out what you want to do each hour of the day. And obviously take breaks so you don't burn yourself out, but you have to have a set plan of how you're going to quit. Because if you say you're going to quit, you're gonna be like, oh, I still have some weed, I'm just gonna smoke it until it's done. And then you're gonna hang out with a friend who smokes weed. Bro, throw that shit away and do not hang out with anybody who's smoking that shit. So, going to relapse, as I said, when you quit, it is very hard because you're so used to being high. You're so used to feeling good and doing it every day. And if you do it every day, especially when you're trying to do tasks, your brain gets used to it. And it makes it harder to quit, because when you're off it, you feel almost more dumb. you feel more tired, and it just makes you want to go back to that feeling of feeling high. And maybe if you're a stoner, like a functional stoner, you perform better when you're high. So that is really hard. But the thing is, there are ways to get over the relapse. Things like cold showers, things like caffeine, things like nicotine, even nicotine. I'd rather you do Zins than fucking smoke weed. And it is really hard when you've been doing it for maybe months, maybe years. But also with the relapse, you just have to keep the end goal in mind of that you are going to be more productive, you are going to achieve more things, and that you are going to have higher testosterone, a better physique, and you are not going to be stuck in the cycle of fucking being low test. And that kind of goes into the side effects. So as I said, smoking weed increases gray matter in your brain. It literally makes you a vegetable. And why would you want to do that? Is it really worth sacrificing your health in the long term? I'm pretty sure it increases the rate of Alzheimer's too. Don't quote me on that. I didn't really look up all the side effects, but they say, oh, there's not really that many side effects. Like, bro, and it's like medicinal. Your doctor can prescribe it. Bro, Big Pharma wants as much money from you as possible. So you need to stop trusting pills and medicine from the doctor. You need to think for yourself. If there's bad side effects, don't fucking use it. I've kind of been talking about how there are side effects to this, like, being lazy, being unmotivated, but, it also lowers your test. It also gives me gynecomastia, which is literally man tits and is estrogenic. So the less testosterone you have and the more estrogen you have, the less muscle mass you're going to grow and the less motivation, and, you're going to be fatter. Like women, they have higher estrogen, so they hold more fat on their bodies, especially around their love handles and their boobies. And they have high estrogen, and weed literally is estrogenic, which is going to increase the amount of fat that you hold there. So you're literally going to be built like a woman. And as a man, you're supposed to be high test, you're supposed to be big, you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to be quick-witted, you're supposed to be smart. And weed literally prevents you from being all of these things. So if you just take into account everything I've just said, the cons just outweigh the pros by a fucking mile. And when you work hard time after time and you work towards achieving your dreams and making money and getting jacked, bro, the things that come from that are gonna way outweigh the good feeling of smoking weed. So if you don't agree with me, your mindset is just fucking beta. It's fucking shit. Realistically, logically, you'll make up any emotional excuse to not quit because, oh, it's not that bad. Like, oh, I can still do this, still do that. Bro, if you were trying to be the best version of yourself, there's no fucking excuse to smoke this shit. I don't care if your favorite celebrity, I don't care if Joe Rogan smokes this shit. You need to quit. And if you want to be the best version of yourself, you need to stop smoking weed. And that's why I did too.